This session here is from bland to brand. I'm joined today with my illustrious colleague.
Did I hit the right one?
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Oh,
okay.
Lovely. Heather. So if we just tell you a little bit about yourself. So my name is Penny Coventry. I'm based in the UK. I'm an independent consultant. I've co-authored or authored over 10 books now. And one of the books Heather was a contributor of. So she helped me out with that one of those books. I'm also a trainer. I've been working with SharePoint now since 2001. So I've seen it through quite a number of stages. And so that's myself. So Heather, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, my name is Heather Waterman. I'm the SharePoint branding lead for Center Active Studios, and we're based out of Reston, Virginia. I'm based in Lawrence, South Carolina, and I've been working with SharePoint since about just before 2007. And you can find me on Twitter at hwaterman or my blog, heatherwaterman.com.
So let's just tell you what we're going to talk about. Today we're actually going to be looking at the new theme engine in 2013. I don't know how many of you are branders who would, yes? Yeah, okay, lovely. How many of you are developers?
What about super users?
Yeah, lovely. Okay.
How many of you used the theming engine in 2010? Couple. Okay. What about 2013? Have you looked at it? A little bit?
Ish. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to introduce the session by looking at the new user experience with 2013. Anybody using 2013 at the moment? Yeah. All right.
Is it online or Office 365? Okay.
So everything we're going to be talking today could be used on premise or online. Okay. So we're going to be explaining what's happening underneath the covers as well as we go along. Okay. So let's introduce you to the new user experience. SharePoint 2013 has been redesigned. It's supposed to be a cleaner sort of looking. It's also supposed to be taking SharePoint out of the branding a little bit. You know, how often do you hear, I want a SharePoint, but I don't want it to look like SharePoint. So in fact, SharePoint 2013 is a lot sort of cleaner looking and a lot less branding out of the box, the default sort of look and feel, than perhaps the previous version. So there we've got a screenshot of SharePoint 2010, and there we've got a screenshot of 2013. What you'll also notice, and I've pointed them out, is certain things are different. So, for example, the big sort of like the inch or whatever it looks like down there, which was the ribbon area in SharePoint 2010, has disappeared. And so you don't always see the ribbon whenever you go to a page. I mean, the default is that you might see a tab, but you won't see the ribbon until you click on one of the tabs. Also, the Site Actions button has disappeared. There's no text there for the Site Actions button. It's replaced by a little clog to the right-hand side. So when you click that Settings clog, you will then come with the Settings menu. And what you'll see off the Settings menu will also have changed. The little breadcrumb navigation that allowed you to navigate up to a previous site in your site collection, and perhaps up to a portal link if you've defined a portal link on your site collection, that has also disappeared. Okay, so that breadcrumb is no longer available. It is all the logic is still there, but on the master page and the CSS actually does hide it by default. Okay. So there is a little bit difference. So the components have moved or been removed if you're going from SharePoint 2010 to SharePoint 2013. Also under the covers, it is using a lot more HTML5 and CSS3 than the previous version. And so what you're able to do is see the page or do certain activities that you couldn't do in certain browsers. Now you've got a wider support for some of those activities. So for example, when you're seeing a list or a library, you've got the option of seeing it in standard view, or you can click it over to datasheet view and get almost like an Excel experience. In SharePoint 2010, that was the part of the system that was providing that functionality was if you had Office installed on your desktop and it was using an ActiveX control. Well, that's no longer the situation in SharePoint 2013. It's the HTML5 that is producing that. That does mean that you have lost a little bit of functionality that you may have been used to if you are displaying the list or library in datasheet view. And it's not called data view anymore, it's actually called quick edit. So again, a little bit of terminology. So what you'll also see at the top of your sites is that you've got additional links. So you've got some additional controls. So if you've been branding your sites before, then these are some additional controls that you can apply your branding, and you can also add your own links to that, but we are really getting into the developer arena if you want to add your own links. Underneath the covers to help your user experience, so again nothing to do with sort of the branding side, but user experience if you're into that sort of side as well. Then there are certain things happening underneath the covers to make things work better, which again your users will like. So are there any IT pros in this session? Okay. So yes, to make things better, we've got something that's been introduced called distributing caching. We've also got a new search engine, and a lot of the capabilities that you'll see in SharePoint 2013 are because of the improvements in search. There is also something called a minimum download strategy. So again, your users are going to see things perhaps render a lot quicker. Now, this is not saying, right, this is a magic switch and we just switch it on and everything will work quicker, because things don't work like that. You have to join the dots. So this is a new site collection feature that you activate or gets activated for you if you create a site off of the team site, the project site, or the community site templates. Also, the web parts have had to be recompiled again to make use of that capability. So if your developers, or if you have in-house any new web parts, or you've developed your own proprietary web parts and you want to enable them to use this MDS facility, then they will have to be recompiled and have a proper attribute applied to them. Now, this MDS is not available on publishing sites, and in fact if you turn on the publishing feature, then it will deactivate the MDS feature. But it will help with the rendering of your pages on your team sites. And I'll show you how you can tell if that feature is on. We've also got a new theme engine, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So no longer can you develop a THMX file using PowerPoint or whatever and uploading it into SharePoint. That's not the way you theme it. Okay. So we actually don't talk about theming a site anymore. We talk about changing the look. So again, a little bit of a change in terminology. There's also improved support for mobile devices. So there's a number of views, and as I said, it does use HTML5. So we've got this increased web support. This is just a summary of what I was talking about, and you can take this away with you. And as I say, Microsoft has updated its web parts in the default DLL, but it hasn't updated them when in the publishing, because the publishing side of stuff has its own caching mechanism. So that's it. It all works off of a special control that has to be included in the master page. So again, if you don't include that, even if you turned on the feature, it still wouldn't be working. So a couple of things for you to look out if you do start to amend master pages. So this is a little summary of the different support for your mobile devices. The same tools that you had in SharePoint 2010, you'd be using in SharePoint 2013. So you'd be using SharePoint Designer 2013. There is no design view, but you will still, we still manipulate the CSS and the controls by bringing it up into SharePoint Designer. But you've got to build up your skill set because you've only got the control view. Okay? There is something additional available to you, which provides you with almost like a WYSIWYG or a wizard way of developing your branding, but this is only available on publishing sites, and this is called the Design Manager. Okay? This allows you to use any standard HTML editing tool like Expression Web or Dreamweaver.
How many have used Design Manager yet? Have tried it out? Okay. Do you guys like it? Yeah? Yeah? Were you branding your master pages before?
I was
Like that?
branding, been branding since 2007.
Okay.
So 2010 was nice and easy, so this is just a slight change, but you still see all the usual bits and pieces.
Okay, good.
So I think you're going to be talking about the Design Manager in the subsequent one, are you? Or
No, I think that's going to be Kathy.
Kathy.
So that's in the couple of them.
So I've introduced you to some lingo, some new terms. So MDS is your minimum download strategy. There is a new web part available, the content search web part, which again you will, if you're into branding or displaying different content, you will get to know and love because you can actually put HTML or you create something called design templates and stuff like that. Now the content by search web part is an enterprise web part. So if you are using the enterprise cows, then you will be able to have that available to you. Now the Enterprise Search Center relies heavily on the content by search web part. So if you don't have the enterprise cows, then you can't have the Enterprise Search Center. You can only use the standard search center in SharePoint Server. You've also got something called device channels, which again affects what is going to be displayed on different devices. This is a reintroduction of technology that used to be part of Content Management Server. Did anybody work with Content Management Server? Okay. So there was something called device channels that you could say, right, I want to target certain devices, and when the conditions are met, then this is the sort of page that they would see. So you could target like Windows phones and say, right, this is what is going to be displayed on them. You could target a particular version of Android or whatever. Again, this is not available for ordinary collaboration sites. Again, this is something for your publishing side. So this would be perhaps your intranet portal or your internet sites that you would be using that on. Mm-hmm. Also, what you've got underneath the covers, which may also affect you when you start branding your sites, is that there is the introduction of friendly URLs. Okay? So this is the separation of the URL from where the information is physically stored. So you could reorganize your sites, but all your links to those pages would remain true. So there is, and also you can specify what that friendly URL is. So you can hide very easily now without getting a developer in your like the /pages/ thing. So what we're going to be talking about today is the compose look. So I'm going to just demo a little bit about what the URL, what the virtual machine looks like out of the box.
Oh, it's not plugged in.
Oh, right.
Makes a difference.
Yeah.
First one, yeah.
Okay, so this is how it looks out of the box. And as we said, it's trying to get away from a SharePoint look out of the box. What we've got up here are the controls I mentioned. We've got a link at the top. We've got some links over to the right-hand side. We've got who's signed on. We've got this little cog button, which is for the settings menu. And then we've got a number of links underneath. So we can edit the page very quickly by clicking this edit little tag. We can also say, right, we want to just concentrate on the content portion of the page. So we can get rid of the navigation bar and the quick launch if that's being visible on the page. What we can also do is we can look at the address URL. Okay, so you'll see here, so this is a team site. So this page here is the home.aspx page, in the site page is library. Okay, so that's exactly the same as in 2010. Okay. However, if you look at the address in the address bar, that doesn't seem to represent that. Okay, we've got the name of the site, which is dteam-fresh, and then it's on the end got underscore layouts /15/start-aspx. Okay. Now, usually, if you see the underscore layouts in the web address, you would be normally thinking that you're looking at an application page, you know, a page that is being stored on the servers, you know, like the site settings page or the list settings page. They're always got the underscore layouts in their name. Now, this is not an application page. This is an ordinary content page. It's the home page of a team site. Well, what that's telling me there is, in fact, you have got MDS turned on. Okay, so that is a sign that you are using this MDS feature. This, what does it stand for again? I can't remember.
Download strategy.
Oh yeah, yeah, whatever. Minimum download strategy. Yes, yeah. She did say it, but I didn't catch it.
I wasn't loud enough. Sorry.
That is a giveaway. If we're on a publishing site, you've still got all the same capability of changing your master pages, changing your URL, so you've still got that capability. But if we want to change the look and feel of this site, then we've got a link to changing the look. As I say, it's not called themes now, on the settings menu. Also, if you've left this web part on your page, you have got the capability of changing your look by clicking that big tile there. Okay? But most companies will take that particular web part off. If we look at the site settings page itself, okay, and we look at the look and feel, there is no longer a link that says change the theme. As I say, it's come to change the look. We have got over in the web design gallery a section of the site settings page. We've got two links that we're going to be really interested in. One is the themes look, which Heather's going to be delving into, and the other one is a compose look. And what we see here is that now, when you want to change the look of a site, what is being brought together is a number of components. You are composing the look of the site by bringing together a number of components. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in this presentation.
Right.
So I'm going to hand over to Heather now to explain the next part of the presentation.
So the theming experience in 2013 has changed a little bit. So the composed look is made up of 4 elements, or 5, excuse me. You've got your color palette, which they also call it your theme, your font scheme, a background image, your site layouts, which is actually a master page, and a master page preview. You, out of the box, you have 17 different composed looks. You can change the look of your site in 4 easy clicks. It's really simple to do. You don't have to have any branding experience. Anybody can do it. You can use this on Office 365, SharePoint Foundation, and Server. So using composed looks is just a super easy way that you can customize the look and feel of your site. And I think I'm going to just do a demo real quick. home. Okay, so again, to get to a composed look, you can go to the cog and click on change the look, or from the getting started with your site, you can click on watch your style. And I'm going to just go from there. So you're presented with these different look and feels out of the box. Again, there are 17 different look and feels. So let's say your manager has come to you and they just want you to go ahead and brand a site. And so they say, I don't really care what it looks like. How many of you have just been given the request to just make it look better or make it pop? And not any other information, just make it look good. Okay. So your manager has come to you and he said, just make it look good. So we're going to pick one out. I'm going to go with city. So right off the bat, you can see what this city might look like. That looks pretty nice. So we're going to go ahead and try it out. Now, when you click on try it out, something is happening in the background. Penny?
Right, yeah.
You want to explain that one?
So what actually happens in the background, as I said, the composed look is made up of a number of components. When you click try it out, that's when the theme engine boots in. And it takes these components, it creates a folder underneath the themes document library. There's a document library where everything's kept, everything in SharePoint's a document library. And it creates a set of files in this folder. It gives this folder a name, which is a sort of like a randomly generated number. It's not GUID, it's shorter than that. And it's those files that SharePoint is going to use to brand the site. So in many ways, it's like the theme engine before, because that's what the theme engine did before. It used to take the TMX file and used to generate a load of images in this folder, and then it used to use those files to actually send down to the browser to actually change your look and feel. Okay?
Go ahead.
And just like before, if you applied a theme to a site and then you changed the TMX file, then that theme didn't get applied automatically. You used to have to take the theme off and then apply it again so that it would generate all the files again. So that's exactly the same as this.
So every time you click try it out, it's going to create a folder with a unique number, and you get a lot of these files in here, and you really can't do anything with these files. So I just wanted to show you that it did that. Okay, so we've said, yes, keep it. And it's working on it.
So when it clicks just keep it, the theme engine's not involved anymore.
Yeah, it's
the try out that actually kicks in the theme engine to produce those files.
Right.
And when you say try it, it uses those files.
Right. So now my managers come back to me and they said, yeah, I like this, but I don't like the pink. I don't like the background image. I'm going to change a few things. So it's really simple to go back and make a couple more changes. And it's working on it. Okay, so here it's showing the current theme that I'm using, the current composed look. And if I minimize this a little bit, I can quickly change the image and change a couple other things. So I want to go ahead and remove this image. And I found an image online that I want to use. And you can drag and drop it in here. And that's really pretty cool, because as soon as I do that, it updates this. Okay? And this is that master page preview that's required if you're making a composed look. You can also change the color really easily. So you can hover over this and you can change the color. And I'm going to pick something a little different, maybe green. The next thing you can change is your site layout. So you've got two different site layouts, and again, those are master pages. So out of the box, you have two different site layouts, Seattle and Oslo. And so if you hover over this, you can see the difference in the site layout. So you're going to see what you're going to get. And I'm going to go with Oslo because I want to see a little bit of my picture in the background. The next thing is you have your fonts. So out of the box, you've got a number of fonts that they've already preloaded for you. The one thing you'll notice is that when you do hover over these fonts, it doesn't change. But as soon as I pick one, it changes. And I'm going to go ahead and So I try it out. And when I do that, again, it's going to make another folder in my themed folder, and it's going to be a unique number.
If you don't accept it, will it discard that folder?
No.
So you could end up with...
Yes, yes. So I'm okay with this, but I'm really still not a fan of the font. So let's go back one more time. Let's just change the font. I think I'm going to go with Rockwell. And see what I like. So you can try it out again, and it's going to make another folder. So I should have a number of folders up there now. All right, I'm good with that. So when I say yes, keep it. So in just a few easy clicks, you can change the look and feel of your site. So now I've got the Tower Bridge behind, and I've changed the look and feel. So I want to go in and talk about a couple of the different elements, the different files. Okay, again, it's made up of 4 things. Background image, color palette, your site layout, and your font scheme. And also your master page preview. But Kathy, I think, is going to talk about creating a master page preview in hers. Is that right, Kathy? Maybe? A little bit? I don't know. Okay. Out of the box, you could use any of these images, although it doesn't show them that you could use them. They're already there. I think we track these images. They are on your server. So there are 50 different images that you can actually hard code into a composed look when you make your own composed look. So these are already in there and out of the box. Again, the next thing you would do is to change your color. And the color file is, the extension is SP Color. Out of the box, you get 32 different color palettes. And in those color palettes, you have 89 slots. So those 89 slots are going to take a color. They use hexadecimal. So that's your characters and numbers. Your standard would be your 6. They also have introduced using ARGB, which is opacity. So the first 2 characters would be the opacity of your color. They also just released a color palette tool about 2 weeks ago to help you recolor your site. It's, if you think about it, when you've got 89 different slots that you want to put colors in, that's going to be really overwhelming. So let's take a quicker look at this. You can see that the color name, body text, that's going to be easy for you to figure out exactly what you're going to color. So they've made it easy with the markup. And up at the top, you've got is inverted false. And I believe the is inverted false is when you've got dark text on a light background. And true would be light text on a dark background. Okay? You've got preview slot 1, 2, and 3. And now if you notice over here on your colors, I just put a little copy in here. Your preview slot 1 is your background overlay. So that's your first color. That's going to be your main color, your background color. The second one would be the body text, and that's white. Again, these files it's not the same exact file as this green one, but the last one is accent text. So the green one would be the accent text. So those are your 3 preview slots that are going to show when you're on your composed look home screen and you're hovering over everything, okay? Site layouts. Again, you are given 2 different site layouts that you could choose from, Seattle and Oslo, and there's just little slight differences. Top navigation is above the site title. The left navigation is present in Seattle. On Oslo, it's below the title, and there is no left navigation. And it's a fixed width. It's kind of minimized in the middle. When you are creating your own composed look, if you want to create your own master page, you do have to use a SharePoint 13 master page, 2013 master page. You can't use a 2010. And if you do that, you also have to create a master page preview file to go along with it. The next thing is we've got our font files. Out of the box, we've got 8 different font schemes. Your standard is Sego UI. If you look in SharePoint Designer, I think it's called SP Personality. So that's the first one. And here you've got 7 different font slots, and so you can change these a little bit easier. It's not going to be as hard if I'm getting them right. It's title, what's in my note? The font slots. There's a number, go down. A little bit. Title, navigation, small heading, large heading, body, and large body. So those are the font slots that you can change. So if you look, again, both of these files are XML files. You can edit those in a text editor. It's nothing fancy is required. You've got your font scheme name, and you've got 2 preview slots, title and body. And Bodoni Book would be our title, and Sago is our body. You're also required, if you're going to add your own font to your own composed look, you need to upload these 4 files. So you're required to have an EOT, a WFF, a TTF, and an SVG file. Now, if you don't have those, typically you're not going to have every one of those. What you could do is take your font, upload it to Font Squirrel, and they have a tool that's going to download all of these different files for you so that you could use your own font on here. You also need to have a large image and a small image. They don't tell you, it's kind of hard to figure out the sizes, but in my notes here, I've listed off the sizes of the images you're going to have to make. And so, of course, you're going to have an image editor that you can load your font on and make these images. Okay, here's some helpful links when you want to go ahead and create your files and fonts. And let's go ahead and make our own composed look. So my manager has come back to me and said, I've shown this to the board, and we've actually come up with a logo. Marketing has come up with a logo. We want to change everything completely, so we get to start over from scratch again. Now, if you're making a composed look, I would suggest starting with something that's close to what you want to use, and that's going to be very helpful. So they've decided they're going to go with the blue logo. So I'm going to go back to this office. Let's keep it.
So that's the default logo, isn't it? It's like taking the theme off.
Yes, it's a default look. And they've sent me the logo, so I'm just going to go ahead and upload the logo. And something I really like, I mean, we used to have to remember the path of our logo. So they've got a link here that I can just upload it from my computer, which is really nice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as soon as I hit OK, you're going to see the logo here, and you see it up here. So our site is PCW. Oops. What happened? Maybe I didn't hit OK. Let's try that again. All right, one more time. Go. There. Now I'm going to hit OK. Whew. All right. So now we got a logo. Yay! Okay, so it's PCW Tours of London. Can you guess what PCW stands for? Penny Coventry Waterman. So. Okay. And now I've shown this to marketing, and they said, yeah, that's great, but we really want a little bit more wow, pizzazz, pop. So we're going to go back in to change the look. And I really want to make something that we can use on other team sites so that people are not going to have to go into this composed look all the time. They can actually just come in here and click on it and say, this is what I want to use, and it's already done for them. So I'm going to click on my current, and I want to add an image in here.
So does this image have to be of a certain size?
Absolutely not. SharePoint will compress the image in the background for you, and it's all happy.
Could I tile it?
No, you can't tile it. You cannot tile it. So I'm good with the background image. I really want to see a little bit of it, so I'm going to go to Oslo. Again, I'm going to show this to marketing. They're okay with it, but they also want to match the font, and they want to match the colors just a little bit better. I'm just going to say go with it, try it out. But what I want to start doing now is actually creating my composed look. So in the background, sorry, not in the background, what I'm going to do is keep it, and I'm going to go out to composed looks. And I'm going to create a brand new composed look. Now, one thing to notice, or one thing to know when you are creating a composed look, if you make a mistake, it is not going to give you an error. No errors. It's just not going to show up for you. So you have to kind of go back and figure out exactly what you did wrong. And here, I think I have to do sites. And you want to put in your master page. Sorry, I'm typing slow. Your theme URL. See, they call it theme here, and it's actually your color file.
So have you uploaded this colour file already, or?
No, I have not. So I think I want to call it London Color.
You missed an R on fresh.
Oh, thank you. That would have not shown up for me. Okay, so the extension again is SP Color. The image, I'm going to add in.
Lara for the colour.
I seriously didn't have that much sleep last night. Okay, next one is sites. 15. And the font or the image is going to be London JPG. And the last thing is my font scheme. So it's going to be sites. Let's see, my gosh. Okay, and that's going to be London SP font. And the display order, I want it to show up first, so I'm going to make it 5. I'm going to hit OK, save. I'm going to go in to change the look. Do I see it? No. Oh, man. All right. I knew I wasn't going to see the look, but what I wanted to show you is that you actually have to have all of your files there. So again, you didn't see an error, you just don't see the composed look here. So what we have to do is we actually have to go into SharePoint Designer and add our files.
So the test on each of those URLs you're putting is test. It's not which box wasn't that? The test doesn't do a test, how you say.
You know what? I never clicked on that.
But yeah.
I just type it in. I just go.
I tried it. It doesn't. It errors out like every
Yeah.
time you try it. It doesn't actually go to the location that you're putting it in.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Okay.
I tried it 4 times yesterday because I kept thinking, surely this is supposed to actually test it.
So I'm going to drop in my London image. I actually recommend making a folder, but I've already typed in everything and I don't want to do it again. I don't want to misspell everything. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and create my color. Now, again, the color palette, you've got 89 different color slots. I really don't have the time and I don't want to go through the 89 color slots, so I'm going to try to use the color palette tool. And on this smaller screen, you can tell that they didn't think about resizing things, so you can't see the full tool here, so it's completely cut off on the side. There's a lot more, because you can actually drop in an image, you can play with the background colors, you could do a little bit more. That's on the right-hand side. But here in the color tool, you've got all these different buckets. That's your default view. You can also group by UI types, and you can expand this, and you can see what those colors are. And you can go by UI type right here. So I'm going to go back to color buckets. And I already know what my hex color is. And I'm just going to go ahead and change this color. I think that one's it.
Colour picker, haven't you?
Yeah, you do have a color picker on here, but I'm not a fan of it because you're supposed to be able to click this little color picker and go out and pick a color and you're somewhere, and it's supposed to grab that color for you, but it doesn't work. But you can put in...
It's one of those really
Yeah, it's a feature. So you can put in your RGB colors here, but I'm not gonna torture you with that right now. So I already had my color for marketing, and you saw once I put it in, it changed the site title and it changed this bar up here. So that's nice. And I want to go ahead and change the accent color. I want to just do one more color. And I think I can go here and down here to accents, and those are all listed. And as soon as I click it, it's already changed. So you see accent 1 is changed, and this is changed. And when I'm done, oh, actually, there, and also below, there's a little box that gives you a warning. So if you have a dark background and you put a really light text color on it, it's going to give you a warning that it may not be usable, it may not be readable. So you'll want to check those. So I can go ahead and save this. I'm going to call this London. Speed color. And save that. So I'll replace it. And I can close this down. Now I just want to drop this London SP color in here. It's on my desktop somewhere. Here it is. Okay, the next thing I want to do is create my font file. And marketing has given me the font, which is called Caviar Dreams. And I've already gone to Font Squirrel, and I've downloaded all the files that I've needed, and I've actually created my 2 image files. So what I want to do is just take a font scheme. I want to copy it and paste it. I'm going to rename it. Once that's done, now that I've actually got all my files in here, my composed look should actually show up. So I just want to check it and make sure everything else is good. There's my refresh button. Still not there. Okay. Is it there?
Have you got to check it in?
Well, maybe I do have to check it in. Let me see. Let's take a look again. No, it's not. Yeah, that's the current one. So I may have something misspelled in there. I'll have to go back and look. But I want to go ahead and create my font file first. I'm opening it in advanced mode. So here you see we've got these files I'm going to need to put in here. I'm going to want to change these. So I've got this. Okay, good. And I use my, if this is right, yes. Use a little snippet tool in SharePoint Designer. It helps me so I don't have to type it all over again. Come on. There we go. And delete that. Okay, good. So I've got all my Caviar Dream fonts in here, listed. And the title, oh shoot, what was that? I think I have to do typeface. I may have deleted something else. There, I want to copy that. Sorry, sometimes I cut off too much. Oh, shoot. Let's just start over again. Okay. Sometimes it's just not going to cooperate. Let's try this one more time. I'm going to delete all this up here. Delete. And delete. Okay, good. And we just want to rename this properly. Caviar Dreams. The next thing I need to do, and probably one of the reasons why it didn't work, is I actually didn't have my font files in here.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I want to copy in all of my font files and my image. So over here, I've already got my Caviar Dream images. Drag and drop them in here. And then I've got my web font kit. Dragging those in there. Now, with a bit of luck, maybe it will actually show up. Let's check it in.
Have you saved your font file?
Yep, I'm saving it and checking it in. Fingers crossed. It didn't show up. I do have another one that's already done, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. Is this the final? Okay, good. So again, you'd have to go back and look and see if you misspelled something, which I probably did, and make sure all the paths are right and the names are right. Okay, so here is my SP Evo Compose Look. And again, it's already got my site title and it's using my font, which is called Caviar Dreams. I've already got my image. I've already got my colors here. My master page is selected. And here you can see in the fonts, I've got my fonts selected. So I can click on Try It Out. The only thing I'll need to do is re-upload my image, and I think marketing will be happy with the changes. Yes, keep it. I've learned that you actually have to wait for this image to show up in here before you say yes, keep it, or otherwise it's going to give you an error. So now you can see it's using our font, and our font is used. What I did was I changed it. The font slot was the title font slot. So if I want to go in and change the other remaining 6 font slots, then everything else will use this font. So I'm just going to add our logo again, and we will be done. I love that feature. Yay. And there we go. So now marketing is happy. They like the font, they like the color, they like the background, they like the master page, and they've given us the go-ahead. So now we're ready to go. Any questions about that?